Hey guys, this is James with RogueDuelist Trade, and on this channel, we talk about upcoming and current Yu-Gi-Oh product and whether or not you should invest your money in order to profit. On this video, we have an exciting product that we're going to be covering. We are going to be doing a two-part risk analysis on investing in Legendary Duelists Rage of Ra. So for the first part of this series, which is this video, we're going to be talking about the potential chase cards in this product. We're also going to talk about current cards in the marketplace today that are seeing potential buyouts because of this product being released in the next couple of months. For the second part of this series, which should be coming out the very next day after this video is posted, we are going to cover the entire RDT risk analysis, which is a risk analysis that I developed to help grade product on whether or not the risk is high or low to invest in a Yu-Gi-Oh product. So in that second part video, we go over every single metric on whether or not we should or should not invest in Legendary Duelist Rage of Ra. So guys, before we jump in, for the YouTube algorithm, like this video. And also, if you like this type of Yu-Gi-Oh product investment content, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be the first to know every single time I upload a new video. And guys, go into the description down below and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And also you can find my Yu-Gi-Oh Facebook investments group. The link to that is in the description down below as well. Let's now jump into part one of the two-part series for the risk analysis of Rage of Ra. So the market launch for Rage of Ra is set for September 24th of 2020. It's going to be a 56 card set. And looking historically at the rarities of a lot of the previous Legendary Duelist set, I think we can make a strong assumption that we'll be seeing 9 ultra rares, 8 supers, 10 rares, 29 commons. Now those numbers may fluctuate very slightly based on other Legendary Duelist set, but predominantly this is likely what we will see. And there was also a note made by Konami that we should be seeing possibly a special rarity, which we'll talk about more later in this video. So every Rage of Ra pack will have 5 cards per pack, 4 commons, 1 rare, and the possibility of getting a holo instead of a rare. So you are not promised a holographic in every single pack, which is something to note for this product. Also, it was confirmed by Konami we're going to be getting 21 new imports in this product, which we will be covering in much more detail in this video. So for the information that I'm using for us to have this discussion right now, the OCG has their Duelist pack, which is very similar to our Legendary Duelist pack, and they had the Duelist pack Duelist of Gloom, which is basically the equivalent of our pack, which is Legendary Duelist Rage of Ra. What's interesting is that their set was only 46 cards, while ours is going to be 56. If we do get the exact same cards that came out of Duelist of Gloom, that leaves 10 wild cards, and we don't know what those 10 cards are. So that is something to keep in mind. We will definitely do an updated analysis for this product as we get closer to release and Konami TCG releases what all of the cards are going to be coming in this set. So as I mentioned, we're going to be getting 21 new imports, and those are all coming from 3 specific archetypes, which is Ra, or Egyptian God, which is also representative of Merrick, one of the anime characters from the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. We're getting 7 cards from that archetype, 7 cards for Mech Lords or Aporia from 5Ds. We're also going to be getting 7 new cards that are going to be Jinzo support, or Esperoba as marketed by Konami, which was the owner of Jinzo in the Battle City series in the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. Now we're going to go into our first metric, and if you guys don't know what these metrics mean, you can go down in the descriptions below. I have definitions for every single one of them, although they should be relatively straightforward. But as we go into these chase cards, really the chase cards I think are going to be these 21 new imports, because everything else is likely going to be reprints, and all of these cards give huge buffs to their archetypes. So if people want to play those archetypes, they're likely going to be chasing after each of those cards, but there are definitely certain cards they will be chasing after more than others, either because they will likely be higher rarities, and also because they're likely going to be 3-ofs in the deck. The first 7 cards that we're going to discuss here is the new Jinzo support. I did a ton of research research of different Jinzo builds with this new support included in those builds. And the cards with 2 asterisks are cards that are usually 3 or 2-ofs in the deck. So they're very necessary for the new builds that we will likely be seeing very soon. The cards with 1 asterisk are cards that may have not been in every single deck build that I've seen, or if they were, they are likely 1 or 2-ofs, never 3-ofs. So the one that doesn't have any asterisks, I have not seen any deck builds that were using special titanium metal. It has some pretty good negate effects, but it does have a lot of dependencies, which maybe that's why people aren't playing it. But let's first start with the cards with 1 asterisk, which are likely going to be the cards that are not going to be as chased after. Cyber Energy Shock is a quick play spell. If you have a Jinzo on the field, you can pop a card on the field, and if it is a trap, you can negate one of your opponent's monsters as well. So it's a very good card, and it's searchable with a lot of these cards that are coming in this archetype. So next, let's talk about In Touch with the Cosmos. This card does depend that you have one of your opponent's monsters on your side of the field. If you do, you can send that opponent monster to the graveyard, and then you can special summon a machine monster from your hand or graveyard. Also, because it's a continuous spell, during your opponent's draw phase, you can guess that they drew a spell, monster, or trap. If you get it right, you can send it to the graveyard and draw a card. The last card with a single asterisk is Psycho Giga Cyber. So this card can be special summoned if your opponent has more spells and traps on their side of the field than you do. And if you have a Jinzo on your side of the field, you contribute this card and then put one of your opponent's monsters into their spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. So these 3 cards are interesting. They're good, they're not great, but the next 3 cards that we're going to be discussing are definitely more necessary because of the searchability aspect that they give, which gives more consistency to the Jinzo archetype. So Law of the Cosmos gives your opponent an option. So your opponent can choose to set a trap card from their deck to the field, but if they do choose that, you get to special summon a Jinzo from your deck to the field. Now, if they opt out of setting a trap from their deck, then you can search a Jinzo or a spell and trap that has Jinzo in its text from your deck to your hand. So a very good searching card, kind of has some different components to it, which makes it interesting. Next is the Menacing Jinzo. So it's pretty easy to get on the field. It's a level 7, but you can special summon it as long as there is a trap on the field or in the graveyard. And if you do that, it's a level 6 for the remainder of the turn, which can be very good for a Jinzo lair that's going to be coming out in Dragons of Legend, the complete series. It's a rank 6 Xyz monster, so you can definitely see some synergy with that. But while this card's on the field, you contribute it to special summon a Jinzo from the deck and then destroy all traps on your opponent's side of the field. Probably would be better if it was destroy all monsters on your opponent's side of the field because the traps are negated anyways. The next card is Psycho Bounder, which is another very good search card. So on its summon, normal or special, you can add a Jinzo or spell and trap card that has Jinzo in its text from your deck to your hand. Also, if your opponent attacks another monster except for Psycho Bounder on your side of the field, you can destroy both Psycho Bounder and that attacking monster. Definitely not that great of effect. It's kind of like a rehash of Reflect Bounder. Definitely you care more about the summoning effect that gives you that search, because it definitely gets you more into your combos for this archetype. I looked at all of the prices right now on TCG Player for a lot of the current Jinzo support, and really they're not that high in value. There's not a ton of value in the current support cards, which worries me a little bit of how many people are actually going to want to be chasing after these cards and what the value of these cards may be. The support isn't going to do anything that's going to be meta defining, but if anything, it makes Jinzo a better contender as a rogue strategy. Next, we're going to be talking about Mech Lords, and interestingly enough, I think this is probably one of the better archetypes out of the 3 in terms of competitiveness. Mech Lord Control, I'm not even going to spend time on that. It's really not that good of a card. Haven't seen it in any of the deck builds that I've researched into. But first, let's talk about our only 1 asterisk card, which is this Trap card. And the reason why it's probably a 1 or 2 of in the deck is because of how searchable it is, but it's actually a very good card because it gives you recursion. If you have 3 Mech Lord monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can either add them to your hand or special summon them to the field. And also you can destroy a synchro monster on your opponent's side of the field, and if you do that, they take damage to its attack. So first, let's talk about the non-holo that came out of the OCG, which could see a holo in the TCG, is Mech Lord Army Arsenal of Obligado. So it can special summon 2 Mech Lords from your deck in defense position on the field. I believe it does limit you to only machine monsters, but in this archetype, that's fine. fine. And then also it can do damage based on how many mech lords you have on the field. I think it's 100 each, which can be really good for going into time. It's a very good resource card, which is always good in today's meta. The next card I want to talk about is on the bottom left, which is Mech Lord Emperor Weisel Synchro Absorption. So note it is a level 1, which means it can be used for 1-for-1. 2500 attack and defense. It's a hand trap for the archetype, which is always great to have. So it can special summon itself, and also it can negate the destruction of a card or cards that your opponent is activating towards you, and if you negate it, you can also destroy that card. Definitely a very good card, an easy 3-of in the strategy. Next is probably one of the best cards that's coming in support for Mech Lords, which is Mech Lord Astro Dragon Triskalia. So this card can special summon itself by banishing 3 Mech Lords, I believe with different names, in your graveyard. What makes this card really good is that you can search your opponent's extra deck, grab one of their monsters and equip it to this card, and this card gains that monster's attack. Also, if it's a synchro monster, which is very relevant right now in today's meta, you can attack 3 times. So most cards in the extra deck are at a minimum 2000 attack at least. So if you attack a 2000 monster, let's just assume it's at 5000 attack. If it was a synchro monster, it can attack 3 times. So definitely a really good card to just go ahead and OTK your opponent, which is always very good for an archetype to have. But now let's get into a lot of the searchability of it. So you have your OTK options, you have a hand trap, you have cards that can give you resources back, you have cards that can put resources onto the field. So now we're gonna get into the search card. So Mech Lord Assembly is a continuous spell. On its activation, you can search a Mech Lord monster from the deck and add it to your hand, which you can see there's a lot of good cards to choose. And secondly, it has the ability to send a spell or trap in the field if you meet certain requirements, which is always very good to have. And then lastly, we have another 1-star monster, so you can use 1-for-1, Mech Lord Nucleus Infinity Core. So this card can search a Mech Lord spell or trap, which obviously you could search Mech Lord Assembly to search a monster, or you could search Mech Lord Astro Extermination and get some resources back later in the game. And then additionally, it can special summon a Mech Lord from the deck. This card has a ton to offer. It's definitely a 3-of in addition to Mech Lord Assembly. These are definitely probably some of the better chase cards, but again, just like Jinzo, a lot of the Mech Lords right now currently in the marketplace really don't have a ton of value. A lot of the current support is pretty low. And if that's the case, again, that kind of worries me as to whether or not people are going to chase after this. Maybe people are going to see something in this archetype and they go after it because now it's more viable. I don't think it's going to be meta defining. I think it might be a very good rogue strategy, depend on other archetypes that you might be able to put into this deck as another engine. But I definitely think this is one of the better archetypes out of the archetypes getting support out of Rage of Ra. Lastly, we're going to be talking about the Ra or Egyptian God card support that we're going to be getting, which is probably the more highlighted support in Rage of Ra. All of these cards are seeing play in all of the builds that I've done research into, which means all of these are very viable and are actually good cards. Also, a lot of the new support has great searchability, creating more consistency, which is always great to have in an archetype. So let's first start with the single asterisk cards. So the trap card, 1 with the Sun God. The cool thing is you can activate it from your hand if you have Ra on the field already. Far more quicker as a trap card to use. You can lose life points and then Ra gains as many life points as you lost in attack. So you can get your Ra up by an additional 7,900 attack. Additionally, at the end of the turn, you could choose to tribute your Ra and then gain life points based on his attack. The next one, which is actually one of the higher rarity cards in the OCG, which has 1 asterisk, is Millennium Revelation. You can send a divine monster from your hand to the graveyard. If you do that, you can add a monster reborn from your deck to your hand. The other cool thing, because it's a continuous spell, you can send it to the graveyard and then you can use Monster Reborn to bring back Ra and ignore its summoning conditions to the field. Definitely a really good way to cheese out a Ra. The last single asterisk card is Blaze Cannon, which is always treated as Blaze Accelerator, something to note. But it's actually an amazing card, and I think mostly why people are only playing 1 or 2 of is because it's searchable. It makes your Ra an actual god card. So this is what it does. Your Ra will gain all of these effects and Blaze Cannon cannot be negated on its activation. So your Ra is unaffected by your opponent's card effects, which is huge. So its next effect is when your Ra declares an attack, you can tribute monsters that haven't attacked on your side of the field, and if you do that, your Ra gains all of their attack, which makes your Ra probably very huge. And then lastly, after your Ra makes an attack, you send your opponent's monsters to the graveyard. Can definitely put your opponent in a very bad position or allow you to OTK easily. Next, let's talk about Ancient Chant, which is the only double asterisk spell card. It's a normal spell and allows you to add a Ra from your graveyard or deck to your hand. Also, it gives you an extra tribute that turn. So if you already normal summon, you can still tribute summon a monster, which is obviously very good for this archetype because there's lots of reasons why you would want to use your normal summon. If you summon Ra while Ancient Chant is in your graveyard, you can banish it and your Ra will gain the attack and defense of all of the cards tributed, which again can make him huge and gives you the potential to OTK. So before we get to Egyptian God Slime, let's talk about Guardian Slime. Some things to note is he's a level 10, he's an aqua monster, and he has 0 attack, which is very important. So if you take battle or damage, you can special summon him from the hand, which makes him pretty easy to bring out, but can be a little slow. If he's attacked, his defense can equal your opponent's attacking monster's attack. So if he's in defense mode, he basically can't be run over by your opponent's monster, which is good. Also, if he's ever sent to the graveyard, you can search a spell or trap that lists Ra in its text from your deck to your hand. So now, with that in mind, let's talk about Egyptian God Slime. One of its conditions, in addition to being fusion summoned, is you can tribute a level 10 aqua monster with 0 attack to get him onto the field, which means you could just tribute Guardian Slime and just go ahead and get your Egyptian God Slime onto the field that easy. So consider this. You tribute your Guardian Slime, now you get your Guardian Slime's graveyard effect, which is search a Ra spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So you could search Blaze Cannon or Ancient Chant. Let's say you search Ancient Chant, now you can add Ra from your graveyard or deck to your hand. The next effect of Egyptian God Slime is that it can be used as 3 tributes. So you got Egyptian God Slime on the field by tributing Guardian Slime. Guardian Slime effect activates, you get Ancient Chant to your hand. You add Ra to your hand because of Ancient Chant. Now you can tribute your Egyptian God Slime, get your Ra onto the field. Now you get Ancient Chant's second effect, which is you banish it, and then it gains the attack of Egyptian God Slime because it was the card that was tributed. So now your Ra goes up by 3,000 attack. So now you can see Guardian Slime is a 1-card Ra and also boosts your Ra by 3,000 attack. And if you already have Ra in your hand, you could search Millennium Revelation, you could search Blaze Cannon, you could search one with the Sun God, and then now you have other cards and effects that you can use for your Ra. So Guardian Slime is definitely a 3 of and necessary for this archetype. Definitely going to be one of the bigger chase cards out of the 7 here, in addition to Ancient Millennium and Egyptian God Slime, because basically it's a 3-card engine. So guys, as I mentioned, Konami hinted that there was going to be a special Ra coming in this product. So this is what it says in quotes: "This new Legendary Duelist set includes an extra special version of the Winged Dragon of Ra like you've never seen before." So in every Duelist pack in the OCG, again, that's the equivalent of Legendary Duelist, they get a holographic rare, which is what you're seeing on the screen here. This is the holographic rare of the Winged Dragon of Ra. All of the other Duelist packs have holographic rares. We've never seen them in Legendary Duelist packs. But Konami has definitely been stepping up their game with packs like Toon Chaos, with the new Battles of Legend that's coming out, getting collector's rarities, getting Starlight rares for Utopia and the 10,000 Dragon. I think now they're considering to have a special chased after card in more products. And now, because they've mentioned this, maybe we're gonna see that holographic rare Ra, just like in the OCG, or maybe we'll see a collector's rare, maybe we'll see a Starlight rare. It's really endless. I don't think it's gonna be an alternate art. I think it's going to be a special rarity, and if that's the case, then that's definitely going to bolster the chase card aspect of this set. So again, nothing's been confirmed yet, but it is being hinted. So I'm kind of taking this with a grain of salt. With that, I'm putting multiple chase cards at a 4 because of the good Mech Lord support, because mostly of the raw support that we're getting, because I think that's going to be the archetype people are more interested in from a collector's and casual aspect. But I will say, once we confirm that we are getting some type of special rarity of raw, I think that we will likely put this up to a 5 in the next updated analysis. The last metric we're gonna discuss for this first part video in the 2-part series is current card support buyout. These are cards that I've noticed in my research that have gone up in value, likely because of a lot of the new support that we're getting in Rage of Ra. First one is Ra's Disciple. Now note, Ra's Disciple is likely going to be reprinted as a common in Rage of Ra, but people always want highest rarity. And if you look at this, this is the Dragons of Legend secret rare, and it went up to about $14.59 back in April 27th, likely because we knew this was coming in the OCG, so we knew it was likely going to be coming in the TCG, and it's been seeing some fluctuation bumps since then. It has cooled down a bit, and right now its lowest value is at about $8.95, and again, this chart is showing the average cost. So the average right now is at about $9.58, so it's dropped by about $5 on average. Its highest right now in the marketplace is at about $38.47. But why we're looking at this right now is because it's obviously has been seeing bumps, which shows people are excited for the raw strategy coming out of Rage of Ra. Next, also coming out of Dragons of Legend as a secret rare is Mound of the Bound Creator. It's a field spell, mostly for divine monsters or Egyptian god monsters or level 10. It actually has seen a common print in the recent structured deck for Sacred Beasts. If you want to see my analysis on Sacred Beasts, you can click the link above my head. But this has also seen some fluctuations, mostly going up. And about June 6th, its average price point jumped to about $7.33. Not a huge jump because it was started at about $5. Its lowest price point right now in the marketplace is $3.98. Highest is $34.97. Its current average cost is about $7.23. Dragons of Legend is going to be rehashed in Dragons of Legend, the complete series, so this card may continue to go down. But again, it is showing that there is interest in this archetype because of the fluctuations in the marketplace right now. Next is the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode, which came out of Duelist Pack Battle City as an ultra rare. But looking at this, it has seen a pretty significant jump on June 1st, 2020, coming from about a $10 to $12 card all the way up to $22.25. So it got a $10 jump. But right now its average price point's about $16.86, so it's lost about $8. Lowest price point in the marketplace is about $12. Highest is about $82.07. Now, honestly, the fluctuations, it's kind of hard to attribute as to whether or not the fluctuations is because of Rage of Ra or just because it's a meta card that people are buying into because of the format. So this one is a bit of a stretch, but definitely a good card that people are going to want to use in the raw strategy because it's a really good tech card and also in archetype. So overall, there's not really a lot to look at. As I mentioned, Mech Lords and Jinzos have not been seeing a lot of fluctuations in the marketplace for those archetypes, and the only things I really could find fluctuations for were things that were within the raw archetype, and some of them again were a bit of a stretch, so I went ahead and graded this as a 2. So before we end this video, I always notice cards that might be good pickups because they could go up in value. So first is Mech Lord Army of Grinnell. This card is likely going to be seeing a reprint as a common in this set, but again, people always like to get highest rarity. I think it might have 2 super rares, but its original print is War of the Giants Reinforcements, and I would consider that to be the highest rarity. It's pretty low right now in the marketplace and is definitely at least a 2 of in the newer Mech Lord builds, so I think that might be a safe pickup. Again, Sphere Mode and also Immortal Phoenix, they both have 2 ultra rare prints. Probably the original prints are safer, but I think either of the ultra rares are safe pickups as well. Because Raw is going to be getting more support, people are going to likely be playing these. I see Sphere Mode as potentially as a 2 or 3 of. Immortal Phoenix will likely be a 1 of because it's searchable. 1 for 1's a bit tricky. There's a ton of reprints. It does have 2 ultra rares, and I would say Legendary Collections 5Ds is probably one of the safer pickups. Already has seen some higher numbers. I think it's at about $15 or so. Ever becomes semi-limited or unlimited, this card will definitely go up in value significantly. But because there's actually a lot of archetypes within this product that can actually utilize 1 for 1, especially Mech Lords. So it could see some fluctuations because I don't really know how many ultra rares are in the marketplace right now. So definitely something to consider. Next is Mech Lord Emperor Weisel, which is actually one of the better old school support for Mech Lords because it has some spell negation. I've seen a lot of deck builds using this as a 1 or 2 of, and it is a level 1, so you can use 1 for it. There is a Shonen Jump Ultra Rare, which I would consider to be the highest rarity, and it's sitting at around $2 right now at near mint. And I have seen this card have fluctuations all the way up to $7, which is what I would say is the current ceiling. So as we get closer to Mech Lords, I just see this card going up. I don't know how it could go down, even though it's going to be seeing a reprint in this product, most likely as a common. The ultra rare rarity from a Shonen Jump promo, I think this definitely has huge potential to go up. And lastly, coming out of Phantom Darkness as an ultimate rare is Metal Reflect Slime. So the token monster coming as raw support specifically searches Metal Reflect Slime and allows you to activate it that turn after searching it to your field. And this card does have an ultimate rare print. I could only see this card going up, especially as an ultimate rare. $24 is actually pretty low for an ultimate rare, especially being in a fan favorite archetype. I really feel this card can only go up, and it may be a safe pickup, something that you guys may want to consider. All right, guys, that is the end of part 1 of the 2-part series for Rage of Ra for the risk analysis. Guys, let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, disagree with me with some of the things that we discussed in this video? Let me know down in the comments below. Keep an eye out for my part 2 video where we're gonna go through the entire analysis and discuss the score at the end for Rage of Ra and decide whether or not we should consider investing into this product. So guys, again, for the YouTube algorithm, I hope you liked the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can get more content from me. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a good one.